Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. Roll, shooting opportunity. Oh, it's brilliant. Morrison, goal! Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV and welcome to Cardiff City Stadium, where the Bluebirds are looking for a third consecutive win for the first time in March. The tide seems to have turned back in the Bluebirds' favour, and we look to keep momentum going this evening with this home game against Hull City. Hull themselves, two wins on the bounce for them as well, both with clean sheets, so maybe catching the Tigers at the wrong time from our point of view, but it should be an intriguing matchup nonetheless. We're awaiting the arrival of the two teams just to our left-hand side for pre-match warm-up, but I'm delighted to say, to my right-hand side, I'm joined by former Cardiff City legend Joe Ledley. Joe, announced your retirement this week. Congratulations, 550 career club games, 250 plus in Cardiff colours, and 77 caps to boot for Wales as well. You've had a little bit of time to digest your announcement and the reactions back to that. How do you feel now, looking back at the last week?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Obviously, you never want this time to come, retire. You always want to try and stay in football as long as possible, but I'd like to thank everyone for all their messages and everything that they've said. It means a lot to me and my family, so I'm enjoying life at the moment. Obviously, it's only been about a week or two, so there's still a lot of things I need to do, but at the moment I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to keep myself busy as much as possible. And
you said you're a busy man, young family, living in the area, but have you had a chance to reflect on your career a little bit yet, specifically with where it all began, just across the car park in Ninian Park back here this evening? How do you reflect on your time as a Cardiff City player in particular?
I loved it. This is where it all started. I signed at this club at the age of 9. I got scouted and then sort of went through Centre of Excellence at the time, and then got a pro, which then was YTS at the age of 16, went from Cantonian straight into YTS, and then made my first team debut at 17. So, without this club, probably I wouldn't be standing here and have the career that I've had and the pathway that they've done for me. So, it's amazing memories here at Cardiff. I'm a massive Cardiff fan. All my family are Cardiff fans, so it's just great to be here. And I think I haven't looked over my career yet, but you see the messages and people from certain clubs always saying thank you what you've done. So I'm sure I'll sit down one day and have a look over them.
And you just mentioned a key word there, because it's been a difficult old season for the Bluebirds this time around. Really, I mean, I'm trying to think. I was a season ticket holder when you were making your breakthrough in the first team. Other than the 2 Premier League relegations, it's been unprecedentedly quaint around the club. They've either been pushing for promotion or been secure mid-table. It's been a while since we found ourselves in a tricky situation at the Championship level like we are. But the one key for it this year is that pathway's been opened up again, and they're finally seeing young players in the ilk of yourself 15 years ago finally being able to make that breakthrough into the first team.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, obviously, I've been following Cardiff even, since I moved on, and you see some of the highlights. Going to the Premier League is unbelievable achievements, and for me, it's no better feeling than seeing young players break through and make their debuts and play for this club, because it reminds me of myself at the time, and it goes so quick. So. I said over there, I wish them the very best of luck with these young players, because it goes so quick, and honestly you don't realise how fast it goes, and they should cherish every moment of it like they have done so far, because since Steve has come in, the football's been fantastic, and everyone's sort of started in a position, and it seems like the boys are enjoying what they're doing and playing football in the right way. I think football should be played properly, and that's getting on the floor and moving as quick as possible, and that's what I enjoy doing as a player, and you can see the players are enjoying it now as well.
And you're one of the last players in a Cardiff shirt that you crossed that boundary from Ninian Park to this stadium. You made your first impact across the road. You made a great impact when we first moved here. You've got those memories of the FA Cup campaign as well from across the road, playoff campaigns here. You had a lot of great nights here in a Welsh jersey. You know, what kind of memories does this under the lights on a midweek game here instill?
Yeah, I was the last player to captain at Ninian Park, and you know I love that stadium. You know, now in realistic time, and you know you got to move on. And you know what an amazing stadium this is fantastic. You know, obviously I only had one season here in Cardiff, but managed to make the playoffs and went through in the semi-finals with a classic game here, which went to penalties. And you know, I've had a lot of unbelievable memories with the national team, you know, qualifying for the Euros for the first time at the stadium, and you know, Tuesday night under lights, this is what I'm going to miss, you know, there's no better feeling than playing in the stadium under the lights and, you know, in front of your homegrown, you know, fans who I supported as a team, and it's unbelievable, and I wish them the best of luck, and hopefully they can get the 3 points.
Come back to you in a second, Joe. Just touch on the teams initially. We got OT news for this evening. 2 changes for the Bluebirds, and the big key news, I guess, is that Kiefer Moore returns to the starting lineup this evening for Steve Morrison's men. He was missing at the weekend. He's back in this evening. There's also a change in midfield, where it looks like Leandro Bacuna is back in the team to form a midfield trio this evening, alongside Will Volts and Marlon Pack, both retained starters for the weekend. The men to job out Chanka Zimba, like for Kiefer Moore, but also Ruben Colwell, who made such an impact in the second half in the number 10 position. He drops out with Leandro Bacuna coming back in, so it looks like a 3-man midfield as we ended the game, in fact, away at Preston instead. Good news as well, Joe Rolls returns to the bench this evening after illness kept him out at the weekend. You said you've been watching from afar this week. Great timing to come back and join us on Cardiff City TV, because we can talk about some good form at last. And it's been baby steps, hasn't it? But nonetheless, it's been a dramatic turnaround in results the last few weeks.
Yeah, it does. You know, it's always going to take baby steps, like you say. You know, whoever comes in, it's always going to take time to the players to adjust their game plan. And you know, 2 wins. I was actually doing commentary on the Huddersfield game, which, you know, first half obviously, you know, conceding, you know, Cardiff didn't deserve to go behind. We had a little bit of a fright with Huddersfield hitting the post twice, but it's all about grafting results out at that time and trying to get that first win. And once you get the momentum, you know, I've played in this league, you know, many a times, and once you get that momentum, you got to keep it going, because you end up seeing yourself go so far up the table, and you end up losing people behind. So, you know, if they can get another win, 3 wins on the bounce, that's 9 points, that's massive.
And I said, good habit to find ourselves in, because there's an awful lot of young players still trying to find their feet at the championship level in many regards in this Cardiff team. 2 games where they've dropped behind and showed some real resilience to come back. And I guess, does that maybe point to the balance that Steve Morrison's trying to find in this squad? A lot of youngsters that everyone's pointing to, but there's an awful, you know, there's a real experienced core at play as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, Steve, I know him a lot, obviously, from the 23s as well. So, you know, you've got to rely on these youngsters as well, because, you know, obviously with injuries and people missing out, you know, you got to put one of these players in. And I got to give credit to, you know, the times I've seen Cardiff play. You know, the young players have stepped up unbelievably, and, you know, got to give them credit. There's a lot of responsibility on, you know, young shoulders, and they've delivered every time. You know, Isaac Davis, you know, at Huddersfield, when he had his opportunity coming on and lifting the crowd and you know, getting involved in the goals. Colwell as well. You know, it's exciting times, and these players, you know, need to grab it by the stroke of the neck and take as much, you know, opportunities as they can.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Delighted to say Joe Ledley will be hanging around this evening. He is going to join us on TV and on audio commentary this evening with myself and JP Donovan. First, though, we're going to bring in another former Cardiff legend in Darren Pearce. But first, let's hear from what Steve Morrison had to say in his pre-match press conference.
I think he had a shot from the edge of the box in the second half and scored the goal. If he has a 1-in-2 ratio of putting chances away, he won't be far away from scoring a hell of a lot of goals. And yeah, as I said, the goal was a very, very nice goal, very nice header. And yeah, hopefully there'll be plenty more to come now. I think the bigger thing is giving the fans 3 points at home again. Look, the season's not going to be defined now. It's not going to be defined Wednesday night. Look, whether this was Hull or anyone, it's a case of getting those 3 points, keep the momentum, keep pushing. And obviously, I think we need to make Cardiff City Stadium a fortress. People shouldn't enjoy coming to play there. and we should really enjoy playing there. So that's the start of that on tomorrow night. Well, we started that against Huddersfield. We now need to continue it. I'll pick the best 11 for that game, to what I want to carry out, what the game plan is. I think there always has to be a plan. James Collins and Mark Harris both would have wanted to have started the game Saturday. Most probably walked in on Thursday and Friday expecting to start the game because Kiefer wasn't available. And I decided to go a different way, but obviously there was a bigger picture. And I dialogued that to them and they understood that. So we was all aligned in what we were doing. I'm not going to try and fit people in just because they're a senior member of the squad compared to a younger player. From my point of view, it's what fits best for that game, for that moment. And then, as I said, I live and die by those decisions. So it's on me then, rather than second guessing myself.
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Disappointing he didn't get a strike in on goal. Previous faithful play. Difficult technique, holding off the defender, right arm. Shooting across the box.
Toilet again. Strikes this time. Goal! 1-0 to City out of nothing really. Poking the ball away cheaply. And the Bluebirds strike emphatically. The precious home. 1-0 to City.
Marshall clears right footed down centre field looking for Mason. It's headed away, comes to Rawls, he tries a shot! What a goal from Joe Rawls! 1-1, he hit that left footed and Cardiff have got one back in front of their own fans. Hull City 1, Cardiff City 1.
Marlon, great scenes at Deepdale on Saturday after the game with that away end. Tell us what that was like coming off that pitch. A feeling of euphoria, really.
Yeah, obviously we have been going through a difficult period. So, any time you win a football game, it's that post-match feeling of, even if it's in the dressing room or celebrating with the fans is always great, and it's ones that you, regardless of the game, you always cherish as a footballer. Yeah, it was pleasing. The place was bouncing. The players were buoyant, and there were good celebrations after in the dressing room, and But the good thing about the Championship, you've got another game on Wednesday to hopefully kick on and continue this good run that we find ourselves on.
Looking ahead now, Hull down similar part of the table as us, back-to-back home wins for them. As with us, it's become a huge game, isn't it, really? And at the start of the season, may have not looked like it, but it's become it.
You know, towards the end of the season, it's not going to be massively significant, but for where we're at now, yeah, of course it is, and they've picked themselves up as we have. So, you know, for us, it's about maintaining the good form that we've been on, not just with the results, but I feel like performances as well. And I suppose we're looking to kind of deliver it for 90 minutes and a whole performance, and you know, hopefully take the lead and be comfortable with it instead of trying to chase the game that we have done of lately, which we have shown great character, which is obviously a fantastic sign. But you know, I think for us and the fans, it'd be nice to, you know, take the lead and, you know, see the game out and, you know, in a good footballing performance.
A lot of confidence around the camp. You can feel it just being in and around the place. But two boys in particular, Colo and Mark McGuinness, with their first goals, great for them on the weekend. Yeah, brilliant. I think always when you score for, I think, two, you know, contrasting reasons really. Macca being a young lad, even though many people are quite surprised that he's only 20, but you know, fantastic lad. You know, plays with you know, vast experience that he has, but he you know, shows a real maturity on the pitch, and you know, I think a real talent and one for the future. And Colo, really, you know, I think he's been really unfortunate. He's found himself some great opportunities, worked his socks off at times for the team, and I'm, you know, delighted for both of them. So, you know, and that kind of feel-good factor, you know, then flows around the dressing room and amongst the club. And you know, as you see, everyone was pleased for both players scoring their goals. I have to ask somebody with your experience, of course, at the other end of the scale, that front three at Preston. Terrific to see those boys get their opportunity. And they've been brilliant. They've been really, really good. And I've touched on it a few times. It's down to us to give them the platform, us experienced players, to give them the platform to go and thrive off. You know, this season at times it's been hard, and we've had to, you know, trying to burden a lot of the negative performances and try and, you know, still make it quite a good place for them to be around. And in all fairness to them, I think when you're that young, you probably don't really take too much in. And that's been a real highlight, I think, so far this season, and long may it continue.
Welcome back to Cardiff City TV. That's new Cardiff manager Steve Morrison and Marlon Pack there, speaking ahead of this game, this evening's game rather, with Hull City. I've made my way rather tentatively up to the gantry, and delighted to say I am joined by former Cardiff City captain Darren Purse. Darren, good to have you back again with us. Delighted to say, got you back in much better climes than the last time we had you, because we were in a spot of bother when you last joined us, and things are looking a bit rosier now.
Well, definitely. I was looking at, obviously, for my first game on Cardiff City TV, and we get beat 4-0, and it wasn't pretty, was it? So, hoping for bigger and better things, you know. The form that the boys are in since Morrow's taken over has been really good. And this, I think if you're looking at a game that you could win, you take Hull City at home, and it gives us another opportunity to go and get maybe 3 wins on the spin. So it's been good so far for Morrow. Yeah,
Cardiff looking for their first run of 3 wins on the spin since the middle of Mick McCarthy's initial reign back in March. On the flip side, even though it's a game between 21st and 19th in the division, it's going to look competitive, because Hull come into this game on a 2-win bounce as well, both with clean sheets, and they're looking for their first run of 3 wins in the Championship on the bounce for 2 years.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at the two clubs. They're probably two very good, established Championship football clubs, and you look at them in the position they've been. Both been in the Premier League recently as well. You look at the position they're in at this moment in time. It's strange seeing them so far down there, but as you said, both turning their form around with 2 wins on the spin. But I really fancy Cardiff today to go and get that 3rd one.
And it looks like a key to Grant McCann getting the success he's had in the last 2 games. 2 wins, both by 2 goals to none. A vital win over Barnsley, who are obviously below them in the table. He's made that switch to the back 3. We're seeing it more and more. We spoke about it last time we were on commentary. Yeah. And even though he's only got 2 fit centre-halves this evening, it looks like he's retained the shape. Callum Elder, a full-back, looks like he's going to come in and play as a left-sided centre-half.
I think there's so many sides that are playing it at this moment in time. Me personally, I think it's got its weaknesses, but if it's working for you as a football club, it does give you forward players. You look at the way that Cardiff are playing at the moment, it gives you the security of 3 centre-halves or 3 defenders in there, but also gives you 3 forward-thinking players as well in the forward area. So It works. If I do play a three, I prefer probably to play with a full-back either side and a main centre-half in the middle. When they're getting dragged into them wide areas, they can then defend it. So obviously, hence can see why Hull are maybe playing the way that they're playing with the full-back on the side of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting to say that, because it looks like two teams who are going to play it very differently. Cardiff with the three centre-halves with full-backs in the wide areas, although Giles can really get forward, as we've seen. Hull look like they go in two centre-halves, a full-back, two left-footed players in the back three, and then two out-and-out forward players in the wide areas.
So it's about, usually you find when teams play a three at the back, they either play with defensive wide players, defensive wing-backs, and then they go and play with two a little bit higher out of the three in midfield, or they are similar to what Cardiff are doing. They're sitting with three out-and-out defenders there, maybe with a bit of attacking flair in wide areas. But if you look at Cardiff's front three as well, it gives them the base then to go and spring and play off of wherever they need to play off, when they're high up on the pitch. So yeah, it's a strange system. It's not one that people are used to. But as I said, I think a lot of teams are playing it at this moment in time, whether it's a 3-5-2 with two centre forwards up there, or like similar to what Cardiff play with two sitters in front of the back four and their wide players or their wing backs and let their front three go and get on with it in forward areas.
The other thing is a little bit different this evening. I've noticed, definitely modern football, especially in the Championship, it's a squad game. Both teams have made changes for this evening. Kiefer obviously coming back in for Cardiff is huge, but Leandro comes back in seemingly to give Ruben Colwill a rest. This is the last midweek game until January for both teams. There's no midweek fixtures for the whole of December. It's bizarre.
Yeah, usually you think with the I think they tried to get them all out of the way early doors, didn't they, the midweek fixtures. But yeah, it's hard. Me personally, when I played, I always loved just playing Saturday, Tuesday, so just get the games going. The training was irrelevant as long as you played in the games. But yeah, with the way that the Championship is and how much quicker it is and how it is kick, thrust and follow it does owe to, especially with your forward players, to maybe bring them out. And there's so much sports science involved in the game now with red zones and all that sort of stuff that the sports science love to talk about. And if people are within that moment of maybe getting injured, if you're putting them out for a Saturday, Tuesday game, hence why he's probably changed his front throw, like two out of his front three to give them a little bit of a rest, safe from getting any injuries, because that's the last thing that Cardiff need at this moment in time.
And we're probably going to speak about Kiefer Moore plenty on commentary this evening. Quick word for a man you probably were aware of from your timing at Cardiff City, starting up front from Hull City, and that's young Josh McGuinness, who you probably remember him as a youth team goalkeeper.
It's the most random thing. I remember playing, I don't know, the viewers all remember him, but we played Liverpool away, Halloween, and he was the sub-goalkeeper. And it was his debut, it was the first time he'd ever travelled the first team. I just remember, obviously, as we're getting off the coach, I let him lead us off the coach as probably a young 16, 17-year-old goalkeeper. And then all of a sudden he's sitting there, he's at Northern Ireland, international, the goals he's scored, the careers he's had, you never would have thought he'd have been a goalkeeper back in the day. But fair play to him, he's taken his opportunity by being a centre forward early on in his career, when he obviously got put up as a centre forward early on in his career, and he's made a fantastic career out of it, so fair play to him.
And it uniquely mentioned a game you scored in that as well. It was very good.
I do remember it though.
Good link. That's former Cardiff captain Darren Purse with us this evening on commentary here on Cardiff City TV. We have got live coverage of the Bluebirds home game with Hull City as the Bluebirds hunt for 3 consecutive wins this evening, and we've got live coverage the other side of this club roundup.
Cardiff City's under-23s continued the miraculous 100% start to the season on Tuesday the 23rd of November with a 3-1 victory at QPR. Goals from James Crowell, James Connolly and an own goal for City. Next up, Colchester United on Tuesday the 30th of November, live on Cardiff City TV. Cardiff City's under-18s also put the hoops to the sword with a 4-0 victory on Saturday the 20th of November. Goals from Rhys Schwank, Isaac Jeffries, Joel Colwill and Jaffa Mpadi for City, who take on Millwall next on December the 4th. Cardiff City women lost 1-0 to rival Swansea City on Sunday the 21st of November. They look to bounce back versus Barry Town this Sunday, live on Cardiff City TV.
Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV. We're all
shooting opportunity. Oh, it's brilliant. Morrison, goal!
Welcome to Cardiff City TV. Welcome to the Cardiff City Stadium for this midweek clash with Hull City, as both teams in fact look for a third consecutive championship win for the Bluebirds. That's looking for the first time since March. For Hull City and the problems they had the last time they were in this division, and in fact the problems they've had at the early part of this season, that will be the first run of 3 consecutive championship wins since October-November 2019. They are on the back of 2 consecutive 2-0 wins heading into this game, and that brought to an end a run of 15 championship games without a win. Darren Purse, we thought we were having it hard at Cardiff. Hull have had a very difficult start to the season.
No, definitely. I think, as you said, if he was playing this game a couple of weeks ago before the international break, you'd be looking at it and thinking it's going to be a diabolical game of football. But they've both turned it round. You know, the form that they're both in with their couple of wins on the spin, you know, it makes it all of a sudden a really attractive game. You know, if you look at the table as well, if Hull, God forbid, do beat Cardiff tonight, they go above them. You know, so even at these early stages, it's still early in the season. You know, but even then, them 3 points, it just shows how vital they can be. You know, just for that little bit of confidence. So it'll be a massive game for both clubs, and hopefully Cardiff can get them 3 points, get a real big buffer between ourselves and Hull, and as you said, with the form we're in, looking up rather than down.
About to see the Cardiff City team on your screen in terms of the lineup. Steve Morrison makes 2 changes from the team that won and fought back at Preston at the weekend. In comes Kiefer Moore in a like-for-like change in the front line for young Chanka Zimba. And there's also a change in the midfield area where Leandro Bacuna comes back in for Ruben Colwell. Colwell's so impressive as the 10 in the second half of that game. The fresh legs in the form of Bacuna, and I do expect it to be a little different to what we can see from that graphic. I expect Bacuna and Volks to just sit deeper and give the legs either side of Marlon Pack, who will sit as the deeper lying midfielder. For Hull, changes there as well. Callum Elder back into the team, but not in his natural left wing back position. He's going to occupy the position of the left-sided centre half, such as the problems that Hull have injury-wise in the back line. Elsewhere, Richard Smallwood retains the captain's armband, and there's a place, as we've spoken about with Darren Purse, in the front line for young Josh McGuinness. Not so young anymore, but when Darren Purse was wearing the captain's armband for the Bluebirds, Josh McGuinness was a youth team goalkeeper in the ranks at Cardiff City. He's carved out a fine career for himself as a burly, physical striker who is sure to test the Cardiff back line this evening. You can see the players in front of you there, just making themselves a group on the edge of the centre circle, and that is because Cardiff today mourn the passing, unfortunately, of former Cardiff City manager Frank Burrows, a man who took charge of the Bluebirds for 2 stints as manager in the 80s and the 90s, promotion in both stints, and is very, very fondly remembered around these parts.
Actually, he was my assistant manager at West Brom for a time, and what a man, just like brutal at times, you know, but he had a loving arm around him as well, just a lovely man, and obviously really sad to have lost him. He was a great man.
All of our thoughts are with Frank's friends and family at this sad time. Rest in peace, Frank.
A minute's applause there for the dearly departed Frank Burrows, former and very well remembered and loved Cardiff City manager who sadly passed away this evening.